BANDOC.
Right. So yeah, I just thought it would be worth having a quick discussion about this. Do you want me to read this email out to you again, just so that we've got it?
You
Yeah.
could do, yeah.
Thank you for the update, and I am sorry I cannot find anyone for your podcast. My advice is not what you want to hear, but we have to say this if we take ourselves seriously. Either take the time for more funding and postpone the date, or do less so that they can be paid fairly. If I understand correctly, after my email about what fair pay is, you found out too late that you can't pay the musicians and yourselves properly. That you yourselves don't get much either sounds noble, but is no argument, of course. You too should get fair pay. If you start something like this, a good business side is indispensable, and unfortunately we see this much more often in the industry. In that respect, we really think that underpayment should stop. Now you are funding your own work. We appreciate it very much that you contacted us with the intention of doing it right, so I hope you get some use out of this, maybe for next projects. So they're basically telling us to stop doing it or do less.
Yeah, and they're telling us that we shouldn't exist. They're saying to us that everything should be like we think it should be, like it's always been, and I think that's backwards. I think that's a problem here, and I think that's the same with a lot of the musicians, unions and musicians, like stuff like that. I think it's a bit backwards. They're trying to stop something from happening that's going to happen, whether they want it or not. Really.
Well, we're now in an awkward position, which again is part of the entire project, is to expose all of these things. So I have no problem that this is happening. We are now faced with this situation where I think publicly we have to say this is what we're being told. They're telling us we need to pay the people properly, but they're not telling us what properly is, because we can't use the tools they've given us, and no one's really telling us. So the first question really to go back is that we appreciate what they're saying. Can they tell us what properly is for this kind of show, where someone is turning up, they don't necessarily need to do any rehearsal for it, they are literally just sight reading, and they're performing on the day, and this is the time that they're being taken? What is properly, and how do we do that? So
Yes, I mean, one of the points of us doing it like this is so that they don't have to spend a lot of time rehearsing.
yeah,
It's literally just you turn up and you play.
and I get that there are some people who can turn up and do that because they've spent years and years and years rehearsing and being amazing at sight reading. I totally get that you're not just paying for the hour or so that they're on stage. You're paying for the years of experience they have before. But where do we go from here? If we're being told by Kunstenbond that like our initial offer of like €50 per musician and they could earn up to 150 for the show is not enough, and that we need to pay them properly and ourselves properly, do we need to just go back and say, can you tell us what properly is? If we will do less.
Yeah.
Just tell us what properly is. Just give us a
Yeah.
monetary value that we can make this show work. What is properly? And then
Yeah.
we'll just go from there, I
Yeah.
guess.
I find, I don't know if it's a language thing, but the way that email reads is a bit insulting. They're telling people who are spending a lot of time doing something that I think a lot of people enjoy a lot. They're telling us that we are a bit shit.
We get that a lot though. Every time we do something, because of the nature of us doing it. I'm immune to that now. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. Think it's shit.
It doesn't bother me either. I'm more worried about the tone. There's always the whole like money and power thing. We're giving people power over the cultural aspect. I actually think we're giving people cultural capital. We're helping them connect to other people. We're helping them find a way to create music that they've not thought about before. We know this because we get lots of emails after our gigs about these things. So we know this. It's not just something that I'm making up.
No. I utterly agree with you.
But we're not giving them a lot of money. We're because of the nature of the thing that we do.
It's not considered by society to be worth enough because we don't have
exactly.
So we can't help that. It shouldn't happen by the nature of the very society that we live in. We're making it happen regardless. And the idea that we have to stop doing it until we find funding or we do it in the right way means it will never happen. It doesn't happen. It cannot exist in those standard ways.
Yes.
The thing is, right?
No.
So this is an area I think you are incredibly way more, what's the word? The way that you, like the fact that I can't even describe it, Do you think you could draft an email explaining how you feel about it and about this cultural capital and stuff like that, and just we'll try and keep it brief, but just saying what is properly so that we know moving forward, and just giving her a little
I don't think I should start. I don't. I don't think I should start quoting Bourdieu or whatever. But I'll write an email. That's fine.
If anyone is watching this, I would love them to just tell us, what should we be paying musicians to do the show? So how do we do this chicken and egg scenario that we have every time? Are we doing something wrong? Like, I'm quite open to any advice from people. I'd love to know how we should be doing this, and if there's any way that we can do it differently. And if people say sit down and write funding applications and keep doing that until you get it, I can guarantee you the shows do not happen when we try that, because we've done that. That way doesn't work. We have to build it for them to come. So how do you build it when you don't have that in place?
AI. We create the show with AI before we do it.